Pest control businesses pay me thousands monthly for AI systems I can build in a single afternoon. Let me show you the exact blueprint. Okay, so picture this. A homeowner finds termites at 11 p.m. They panic and start calling every pest control company in their area. Now, your technician is finishing up a rodent job across town. Nobody's at the office to grab that call. So it rings, it goes to voicemail, and the homeowner moves on to the next number. You just lost a $300 service call, and I guarantee you this is happening 10 to 20 times per day. What's going on? I am Adiraj, and today we are building a fully automated pest control booking system using Vapi and n8n. This system answers every single call immediately, collects critical details like what pest they're dealing with and how bad the infestation is, determines the property type and urgency, and then presents real availability straight from your calendar and locks in appointments with zero manual work. When we finish, you'll have a 24/7 AI receptionist handling incoming pest emergencies for any extermination business you deploy this to. So let's start off by jumping into Vapi and creating a fresh assistant. You can name this pest control agent, okay? And leave this as blank template and then click create assistant. All right. So for our model, click GPT 4.1 mini. And we use this because it responds super fast, keeps the costs down, and handles urgent pest situations without breaking character, all right? And leave this mode as assistant speaks first. And this matters because we want, when the AI picks up the phone, we want to jump in immediately with something like LA pest control. What kind of pest problem are you dealing with? Something like that, right? So we don't want any confusion and zero dead air. Just when someone picks up, an instant professional response, right? Okay, now we want to head down to our system prompt section, delete what's already here, and go over to my school community and grab the master prompt pest.json. And once it loads, click Command A to copy it and go back over here and Command V. And if you remember earlier, we need to populate this first message. And we have that right in our prompt. So copy that over and paste that in here. Okay. So what does this do, right? What's our system prompt's purpose? This prompt functions as your complete operations manual in a text form. So it teaches the AI how to recognize different service categories like termite inspection, rodent removal, bee removal, ant treatment, bed bug heat treatment, and general extermination, right? And it guides the AI through gathering property details like what pests they're seeing, how severe the problem is, whether it's residential or commercial, and the exact address. And it basically instructs the AI on checking your calendar and scheduling appointments within available time windows. Now let's click publish. And once we've published this, you have got a functional pest control dispatcher, but right now it can't execute anything. You know, it's like having a brain with no body, and it's time to fix that. Okay, so now we give this thing actual capabilities, and we're going to create 3 tools for it. But before we dive into that setup, let me break down what each tool handles and when the AI triggers it. So let's take some time to understand the tool architecture, okay? So here's how this works. Each tool, which we actually describe in our prompt right here, we make it crystal clear what tools it should use. Each one of these tools requires specific information, and the AI figures out what data goes where by listening to the caller and following your system prompt. So think of it like a standard intake form that your office staff fills out. The AI is talking to someone freaking out about cockroaches in their kitchen, and when it hears the necessary details, it goes, okay, I have everything I need for this form, and then it executes the tool. Okay, so let's go over to tools, and let's go ahead and create our first tool. Click on custom tool, and it's going to be called Qualify Pest Control. This tool basically fires when someone describes their pest problem, right? So go down here, click JSON, and go back to the files and grab master qualify pest. Okay, grab that and paste that in here. And so, as I said, this fires whenever someone describes their pest problem, and we only really have a few parameters in here, right? So we have the pest type, the infestation severity, and we have the property type. The pest type is what kind of pest they're dealing with. The infestation severity is how bad there is. For example, like severe if they're seeing dozens or structural damage, maybe moderate if it's like regular sightings, and mild if it's just occasional. And then property type, pretty straightforward, residential or commercial. And so here's how the AI knows what information belongs here. Your system prompt also asks it to ask questions like, what kind of pest are you seeing? Can you describe the severity? And when someone responds, the AI extracts the key information and populates these fields. So if they say, I run a restaurant downtown on 5th Street and we got a serious cockroach problem in the kitchen, seeing at least 20 every night, the AI is going to structure it like pest type cockroach, infestation severity, severe, given the high volume indicates a serious problem, and the property type is commercial, right? And the AI handles this autonomously because we have already defined these fields and we've trained it on what to listen for, okay? Now let's go ahead and create the second tool, which is called availability pest control. And this kicks in when someone wants to know your available service times. So I'll go down here, click JSON, go to the school and grab master availability pest, and then paste that in here. Okay, click apply, and you can switch it back to the visual toggle. All right, and so over here, all we really need is the search date, which is a string given in ISO format. And this is typically what day they need service. Typically same day, might be later, right? So far, here's the sequence, okay? The AI has already collected all of the past details, and now it needs to show when your team can get there. So the tool queries your calendar and returns genuine time slots based on your existing schedule. And your system prompt then tells the AI, after collecting the past details, check the availability for today, right? And or whenever the caller asks for. And the AI recognizes the qualification is totally complete and then knows to run this next, all right? So now for our next and final tool, it's going to be for booking appointments. And you could probably get the gist of the naming conventions by now. It's called Book Appointment Pest Control. Go down here, toggle to JSON, go to the school community, grab the file, master book pest. Go ahead and paste that in. Okay. And apply and save. I'm just checking. It looks like this one didn't save properly. So that is one that you want to keep on making sure it saves. This is one thing with Vapi. Paste this in. I believe I'd saved it earlier, maybe. All right, and then now let's paste this in over here. Qualify pest, apply, and save. Okay. So sometimes it'll glitch out. You just want to make sure that you kind of keep track and make sure everything's getting saved. Okay, so let's go back to book appointment. And over here, what are we doing, right? We got 3 parameters, okay? So we have our client name, start date time, and end date time, right? So client name is obviously their name. Start date time is our appointment start time, and end date time is the appointment end time, which is typically 30 minutes after the start, right? So here's the flow, okay? The AI presents available slots, like I can get a technician out at 2 p.m., 3:30 p.m., 5 p.m. today. They're going to choose one. And then now the AI has all the necessary data. It has a client name from what it asked, who am I speaking with, has a start date time, which is the slot that they selected, and has an end date time, which is that slot plus 30 minutes, all right? Now the AI fires Book Appointment Pest Control, this tool we just created, with all the information, and then n8n, which is our backend, which we're about to get to, creates the calendar entry. And so why does all this architecture really matter, right? Understanding how these fields over here auto-populate is the entire foundation of AI voice agents. The AI is not inventing any information. It's just listening to someone who's stressed about their pests in their house and converting that into structured data that our system can process. And you're essentially training it to translate, I have termites eating my house, into a properly formatted appointment with all the details that your technician needs. And so every pest control call triggers one of these tools automatically. And so it's just systematic execution based on what it hears. Okay, so now we just created these 3 tools. I want to make it crystal clear to you what's going on. So let me walk you through how these 3 tools chain together during an actual call. Now, if a caller says, hey, I've got mice in my attic, I hear them every night scratching around up there, it's getting worse. So Vapi is going to immediately run that qualified pest control tool call with the pest type mice, infestation, severity as moderate. Yeah, the AI would then follow up and ask, is this a residential property or commercial? Caller would respond residential, and then Vapi would update qualified pest control, saying property type residential, and then the AI would say, okay, understood. Let me see what times I have available today. Vapi would then run our second tool called availability pest control with search date, today's date, and then n8n, it would call our backend n8n. It would retrieve the calendar, generate time slots from 8 p.m. to 6 p.m. or whatever the work hours are with 30-minute intervals or whatever the intervals you set are, and then removes the booked times plus whatever buffer you set. And then after all that data cleaning, it's going to return the available slots. The AI is then going to say, I can schedule you for 2 p.m., 4 p.m., 5:30 p.m. today. What works best for you? Caller says 4 p.m. is perfect. Then finally, Vapi will run our book appointment pest control tool with the client name, which was captured earlier, along with the start date time and the end date time. Then n8n, our backend, creates the calendar event, including all qualification details, with the pest type, infestation severity, property type, description, customer name, phone number. Vapi packages all of this information and sends it to n8n, where this backend kicks in. Now let's actually attach these three tools to our agent so we can actually use them. We just created the tools, we haven't actually attached them to our agent yet. So go over to Pest Control Agent and go to Tools and just click on those three tools we just made and then hit Publish. All right, so now let's actually give our agent a phone number, okay? Go to Phone Numbers, create phone number, okay, and then you can choose any area code. Now, you should probably choose one in your area because you want to choose an area code matching your service area so it can actually look like a local company. Okay, that's not available. Let's try this one. For me, I'm just using a random one right now. Okay, and now let's name this pest control and go down to inbound settings and then select our pest control agent we just created and hit save. Awesome. Now you have a live pest control line, and if you call it right now, the AI is going to answer and you can have a full conversation with it, even though nothing books yet since we haven't built out the backend, but it actually converses naturally, which is rather impressive. Okay, now we're going to build out the backend, and to do that, let's go over to n8n. Okay, so when you open n8n, you're going to have a blank canvas staring at you, but here's the thing, you do not need to build this from scratch. Go ahead to the school community and grab the master pest JSON file, and you can just Command A, copy that, and when you paste that back in here, all of this will show up for you. Okay. The entire workflow will load instantly with all the webhook, routing logic, and confirmations already connected. So now let me walk you through each component so you can customize it for different companies or add more features like SMS confirmations to customers or alerts to your technicians. I'm going comprehensive here, so you don't need to bounce around YouTube trying to figure this out. Let's start off with the webhook node. This webhook node is where all the data enters. Every request from your AI dispatcher arrives here. And when you create this webhook in n8n, you get a URL like this right here. We want to take this, copy this, go to Vapi, go to our assistant, go to messaging, and paste that in here. Okay. Click publish. And while we're here, go down to server messages and uncheck everything except for tool call. This just limits the amount of time that we call our backend, and we only really need it for tool calls right now. Oh, it looks like I did not select all of them. Okay. Awesome. All right, so it's all published. Now, so here's what arrives every time a tool executes. So I'm going to go ahead and paste some notes in our pest control notes. And I think I'll make this available in the school community as well. But you can follow along in the video for now. Right, so it has a couple of things. Okay. Number one, it has our message tool calls array, which contains our tool name and all the information the AI collects. Then a member of that array, it has a couple of those. So the ID, which is how n8n communicates back to Vapi, basically telling it what the response is. Then it's going to have the function name, which is one of those three functions we just created. Then the function arguments, which is the data or the members of those actual functions, like what details it's collected. Then it's going to have the message, the customer's phone number, so whatever phone the customer's calling from. And then it's going to have the artifact messages, which is super important. This is the complete conversation, and we need this later on when we extract qualification details when booking. Okay. Now let's go back over here. And so this is the foundation, right? If this fails, then everything fails. And you really want to validate that your Vapi webhook URL matches this node. You want to set it to post. Make sure that you can customize this path to what you want, but make sure that you update it back in Vapi because then this link will update. And then you want to make sure that your response mode is using respond to webhook node and we need this because we send data back, right? That's about it for the webhook node. Let's move on to the route by tool. So this switch node directs traffic, right? It reads which tool fired and determines where the data flows. So here's the configuration, right? There's 3 outputs, each with a condition, and each condition examines a member of that tool call's array, which is the function name, right? So if it's availability, it goes on one path. If it's book appointment, it goes down the middle path. And if it's qualify, it goes down the third path. And you could honestly change up the order, just make sure that the actual paths align with whatever tool is on that number, okay? So think of it like a traffic controller. One webhook can trigger different actions. One webhook can trigger different actions depending on where we are in the call. So if the caller describes a pest problem and the AI needs to check available times, Vapi is going to fire availability pest control. The webhook then catches it, the switch reads it, sends it to output 1, and when the caller selects a time slot, Vapi is going to fire book appointment pest control, the switch is going to send it to output 2, and this is how the entire workflow knows where to route. Okay, so then let's go examine that top flow of check availability. When the AI checks availability and the switch sends it to output 1, the first thing we do is retrieve it from your calendar. And this is that Google Calendar node, okay? And you want to link your email of your business's calendar or your calendar over here. And it's configured to get all, which retrieves every event in a time window. The time window is time min with the search date from the tool call. It'll usually be the same day, so like today at 8 a.m. And the time max will be end of that same day, so like today at midnight. So if someone calls requesting service today, this pulls all the appointments you already have scheduled for today. And one important detail is, as you can see by clicking on settings, always output data is enabled, which means that if the calendar is empty, n8n is still going to pass valid data instead of failing. An empty calendar just means that you are available, and without this setting, an empty calendar would totally crash the entire workflow because the output is an array of appointments. And it's worth noting that each appointment is going to have that start time, end time, and details. All this is going to flow to our merge node, which is the next node. Okay, this super simple node going on here, but it's doing quite a bit of heavy lifting for us, right? So this merge node combines 2 data sources. Number 1 is that Vapi tool call with a search date. And number 2 is the calendar results. So this is that Vapi tool call coming from Webhook information, the tool call. And then number 2 is the calendar, right? So the calendar results are going to show what's already scheduled. And it's absolutely crucial that we get both of these before our next generate available slots code node. And it's also worth noting that the merge happens by position. And what does this mean? So this means that item 1 from the webhook meets item 1 from the calendar. And this keeps everything absolutely aligned here, okay? And why do we need both, right? The webhook tells us what day they want, and the calendar is going to tell us what is already taken. The next node, which is this code node, needs both to actually calculate the open slots. And so merge is set to combine by position. So if the webhook has one item and the calendar has one item, even if it's an empty array, they both become a single item with both datasets, which is also super essential for our next step. Okay, so this code node is like our intelligence center. Okay, this is where we create the potential time slots and filter out the ones that are already booked. Let me walk you through the logic. Okay, first we want to extract the tool call data. The code's going to begin by reading the webhook data, and it's going to grab that message tool call 0, which is the tool's object. It's going to extract the tool call ID and the arguments, and the tool call ID matters because this is how n8n tells Vapi, here are the slots for your request. and the arguments contain the search date. Okay. Next is our config, and this basically describes the operating parameters all in our config object, right? So it has the time zone, workday start hour, workday end hour, the booking cadence, so how often we have our slots. For now, it's set to every 30 minutes. We have our meeting duration minutes, and we have our buffer after and buffer before. So you can customize this to however you want. If you operate from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., then change the workday start hour and end hour. If you want 60-minute service windows, then change a meeting duration minutes. It's your business and it's your rules. I'd encourage you to customize this and tailor this to your use case. Okay, so third is we want to generate the potential slots. The code takes the search date and then it's going to create slots from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. in 30-minute increments. So 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. to 8:30, 8:30 to 9, 9 to 9:30, going all the way until our end time, which is 6 p.m. And so this is all the potential service times for that day. Next, we want to check what's already booked. So the code's going to examine the calendar data from merge. It's going to pull all existing appointments and add 15-minute buffers before and after each one. So if you have an appointment 2 to 2:30, it's going to block out 1:45 to 2:45. All right. Then we're going to need to filter out all the conflicts, right? And the code's going to compare potential slots against the books. And if a slot overlaps with any existing appointment, including the buffers, it gets filtered out. And so what remains are the genuinely available slots. And then finally, we're going to want to format the response, okay? And so the code converts the available slots into a readable format. And just to show you an example of converting that ISO into a readable format, you might have heard me skim over the ISO. This is what that ISO looks like, but we do not want to actually say this to the caller, right? You want to give it to them in a human, understandable format like this. And so this is what the formatting response does, and this is what the AI essentially reads to the customer. And it's finally going to return that object, the tool call ID, which is an ID from the original request, and available slots, which is an array of those times in human readable format, plus an ISO format, right? So that's the code node, and then flows to the next node, which is that respond node, which is going to send data back to Vapi. Okay. And so this respond to webhook node essentially transmits all the available time slots back to Vapi. It formats a JSON with a tool call ID and a slot list. And as you can see, the result is a super stringified JSON. And Vapi wants the tool response as a string, not as a nested object, right? So this respond to webhook handles this when you set it to JSON mode with the expression syntax over here. So Vapi receives this, parses available slots, and the AI will say, I can get a technician out at 2 p.m., 4 p.m., 5:30 p.m. today, which is most convenient to you. The caller chooses a time, and now we hit booking. All right, so when the caller selects a slot, the book appointment pest control tool runs, and then the switch is going to send it to output 2, which is this line right here, straight to this Google Calendar node called book lead. This is set to create, which creates a new appointment, and the fields it populates are the calendar, which will come from your account, simply integrate it, the start time and the end time, which is start date time and end date time. Start date time is the tool call, comes from the tool call, the slot that they picked, and the end date time is also from the tool call, which is 30 minutes later. The summary over here is simply pest control appointment followed by their name, and the description is where it gets interesting, okay? So the description pulls information from multiple sources. It gets the client name from book appointment pest control, it gets the phone from the webhook, message customer number, it gets the pest type, infestation severity, and property type from the qualified pest control tool. So the tricky part is that book appointment pest control only has the name and times, it doesn't have the pest type, severity, or property details. So where does all the information come from? Well, if you remember from earlier, it comes from the conversation history. The webhook includes message artifact messages, which is the complete call transcript. The code searches that array, finds where the AI called qualify pest control, grabs the arguments from that tool call, and extracts that qualification data. And these are the expressions that are doing it. So it searches the messages, finds the qualified pest control call, parses the arguments, and extracts the pest type. Does the same for infestation severity and property type. By the time that your technician sees the appointment, they already know that it's 2 p.m., it's a residential property, severe termite infestation, visible damage to foundation beams, Sarah Johnson, 555-1234, right? And this is a massive advantage because the technician knows exactly what equipment to bring and what they're walking into, all right? And then finally, on this row, we have the successful booking, which is the confirmation response. This is the respond to Webhook node, which essentially sends back saying appointment successfully booked. Why do we need this? We need this because Vapi is going to receive this, and the AI will then tell the caller, perfect, you're all set for 2 p.m. today. One of our certified techs will be at your property to handle the termite situation. And you will receive a text reminder 30 minutes before we arrive. Is there anything else I can help you with? Okay, that wraps it up for this. And so now we have the qualification successful node, which is basically logging the service details. So if the caller just describes a pest problem but doesn't book yet, the qualified pest control runs. The switch is going to send that to output 3 and hit this respond to webhook called qualification successful. It's going to log the details and then return the lead qualification noted. The AI then might say, got all the information, let me pull up what times we have available for today. Then runs the availability pest control next. This path purely exists because we need to capture all the pest and property details first and then move to scheduling. So it keeps the flow clean, okay? So now we've covered everything over here. If you still have questions, drop it down in the comments. Let's test this out now, okay? So pull up your Google Calendar and call the number we connected in Vapi earlier. So phone numbers, pest control, give this a ring.
Los Angeles Pest Control. This is Riley. What kind of pest issue are you dealing with today?
Yeah, hey Riley, I got bed bugs in my bedroom. I've been getting bites all week.
Definitely call for. Are you seeing them just in your bedroom, or is it more of a widespread issue around your place? And is this your home or another place?
No, it's my home, and I think they're everywhere, honestly. I think they're in the shower and everywhere. I don't know.
Sounds like a pretty widespread bug issue in your home. Definitely something we want to tackle right away. Let's get you scheduled with one of our certified technicians. They'll do a thorough inspection, identify the source, and create a treatment plan to get those bed bugs down. Does that sound good?
Sounds good, Riley.
What day and time?
Yeah, could we do tomorrow at 5 p.m.?
Tomorrow at 5 p.m. is actually open. Want me to lock that in for you?
Yeah, Riley, let's lock that in.
What's your name for the appointment?
Adi Raj.
You tentatively down for Friday, December 5th, 5 p.m. to keep your home from bed bugs. Does that sound right? If so, I'll finalize the booking for you.
Sounds good, man. Thank you. Finalize it.
Our technician will arrive to your home Friday, December 5th at 5 p.m. and take care of those bed bugs. We'll give you a call if we need any extra info before the appointment. Looking forward to helping you get this started.
All right, thanks, man. Okay. So there you have it. It booked it pretty nicely. And this is real talk right here, okay? Pest control businesses miss calls constantly. The office manager is on the other line, or it's midnight, nobody's awake, or they're treating a property. And so that missed ring, every missed ring is $300 vanishing to whoever answers next. And in pest control, the first responder always gets the business. Now, your AI that you just built with me answers instantly. Zero missed calls ever. Answers 24/7, and the AI distinguishes real pest emergencies versus robocalls, captures all the essential details. In fact, you could even add more, like the pest type, severity level, property type, and books appointments as you saw automatically. So no double bookings, checked, made sure 5 p.m. was available, and creates these calendar entries with all these comprehensive details attached, and it operates 24/7 and operates 24/7 because these pest emergencies happen anytime. It solves a massively expensive problem for small and medium extermination companies, and the setup cost is basically nothing versus hiring a full-time receptionist. So there you have it. That is your complete AI pest control dispatcher with Vapi handling the calls, n8n processing the logic, and Google Calendar managing the appointments. Now, if you want this full workflow, the system prompt file, tool configs, and the full build breakdowns for other industries like HVAC, plumbing, roofing, and towing, it's all inside my school community. Download the files, clone the workflows, and customize it for your client and launch a working demo today. The link is in the description, and drop a comment telling me what industry you want me to tackle next, and I'll see you in the next one.